So it's standardized, and people around the world will train freediving in a standardized way, in a very safe, gradual way.
So when you say safe, well, obviously drowning is one thing that can go wrong with freediving, but are there common injuries? Like I've seen it when you did that 136, your arms are out, and then you get into that almost, I'm going to say, that meditative state when you drop into that free fall. It just looks so peaceful. But are there injuries that like, what would be the common injuries from freediving? Any? Ruptured knees?
It's not like common. So like the biggest danger of freediving is being alone and diving alone. So that's why like you have to have a buddy and coach. Lungs or ears injuries are very uncommon if a person progresses with the small steps, with gradual steps. It's only those who push and try to increase their depth very rapidly, aggressively. They could have some, like for example, ear pain, or they can stretch their eardrum. It's not easy to rupture eardrum because you'll feel strong pain and you want to turn. So rupture of eardrum is possible, but it's unlikely. If you feel pain, you want to turn, you'll be very hard to push through. Lung injuries it is something that is potentially possible at depth of, let's say, 40, 50, 60 meters if there is no relaxation. The person is tense, like there's no control of breathing muscles, then yes, there is a possibility of lung damage. Our lungs are really good with the recovery, so if there's a lung damage, lungs will recover very well. It's just something that can make us sort of scared and create this psychological like discomfort, and then we have to relearn relaxation. But if there is a proper process of step-by-step progress, like we listen to our coach and we focus on not on the meters but on the inner state and calmness, then there's very, very low chance of injuries, and that's not something we see. It's very low percentage, maybe like, again, less than 1% of students would experience that.
Got it. Hey, and so then let's go to the very real danger. And you just said you never free dive alone, but I have, when I was diving into your world, it's amazing. I saw a couple of times there's the shallow water blackout, but then there's the deep water blackouts. And I saw a video of you, I think it was about 36 meters once, and then I saw this Mexican diver. He had what was called explained as the deep water blackout, about 38 meters. What would be when you say the rescue divers, how far down does a rescue diver go? Like if you black out at 100 meters, there's no one there, is there?
No, but there is camera in competition. In the big competitions, we have robot which transmits signal to the surface. So judges, organizers, they see freediver in the real time, and then if something happens, they can push the button, and the whole system, like my lanyard attached to the main line, it will, like the main line can be lifted really fast, like with the speed of 1 meter, 1.5 meter per second. So the main line goes up, and I will be lifted with this line as well, with the bottom plate. So there's a bit of delay before the bottom plate reaches my lanyard, but it will rescue me relatively fast. And it's very low chance of anything happening at 100 meters because it's still half of the distance. I still have oxygen. The most problematic part of the dive is the last meters before the surfacing. So I go all the way down. At the bottom, I'm safe because it's half of the breath hold, plenty of oxygen. On the way up, it's the last 10 meters that's the most risky one. 20 meters will be rare. More than 20 meters is like extremely rare. And then safety divers will still go to this depth, 30 meters, 40 meters. In the World Championships, they would go as deep as 50 meters. So there is a chance that their safety system, this control-weight system, will have to be launched, but it's like almost like it's never happens. It would be like maybe just a few times in 20 years of like history of competitive freediving, or like 25 years. All rescues done by rescue divers. So the rescue divers, it's really deep dive. They will go pretty deep. There'll be several of them, like the deep diver, deep safety diver, second one, third one, like reserve one, and they have a system, and they go and they get the freediver, and like in 20 seconds, 30 seconds, they get him to the surface really fast, and then the surface is much easier to help freediver. So that's how it works. And then timing is very important. They need to know where is freediver. If there's no camera, there is sonar, and sonar sees freediver really, really well every second, like a fish finder. Fish finder will see the fish, so it will show freediver every second. We'll know where is he going down, up, did he stop, and all these details.
And then just say worst case scenario, and you were saying how the bell brings you up. You black out at 120 meters, so essentially that's nearly 2 minutes to get to the surface. Will you be okay if you were passed out for 2 minutes? Have you got enough? The brain, is it 5 minutes? Like, will you survive that?
I will survive it, because that's a myth about 5 minutes of there is a myth about 5 minutes of breath hold, which is incorrect. There is 5 minutes of no oxygen in the brain, which is dangerous. And that's just not a situation in freediving. In freediving, we have plenty of oxygen coming to the brain, even in the end of the dive. There is lower, it's a lower oxygen, but there is still blood is pumped with the heart. Heart is not stopped. Heart is pumping the blood. It's less oxygen, but it's still there. So when we black out, there is like 3, 4, 5 minutes when we still will be like successfully resuscitated, and then we'll be safe. It's only when the heart stops, then the dangerous 5 minutes starts, right? And it's just not something that happens in freediving immediately when you lose your consciousness. When we black out, it's a faint. So when you faint, oxygen level drops, but it's not complete zero in our brain, right? So 5 minutes is something more about, for example, heart failure. Heart stopped for someone, and then there is no blood flow to the brain, and then 5 minutes is the real dangerous time in this case. But in freediving, heart doesn't stop.
And then just say if we're doing a competition and I black out at 30 meters, I get saved. Am I allowed to dive again that day, or do I have to wait? Is there a certain amount of time before I'm allowed to enter the water again in a competition?
Yes, there's a level of intensity for those traumas, and lung traumas, blackouts. The small ones, you might be allowed to dive next day, or if it was on the surface for a few seconds. If there's a big one underwater, you will skip a day. If there's a really big one, you will just be out until the end of the competition.
Got it. Now let's go crazy stories. Have you ever dived to 110 meters and all of a sudden there was a shark or something down there that you're in your meditative state and you went, what the hell? Like, has that ever happened in a competition?
No, I never seen shark in competition. I did see them in my fun dives where I intentionally would go somewhere where I know sharks are there. Like it could be after competition in Honduras, in Rotan, or in Mexico. And then we just go and take pictures and dive with sharks because we wanted that.
Yeah, that must be an amazing, I'm going to say air quotes, your job. That must be an amazing part of your job. Like, have you dived with whales to depths and stuff like that, where you feel, I imagine you must feel like you're communing with whales when you're doing it, do you?
I do. I did whale. I just a few months ago, I was in a whale trip in Tonga, and it is a very unusual, like it's a magical experience to look at whale, see that he look at you and he copies your movement. You
Really?
rotate, and the whale will rotate as well. Yeah, especially the small ones, the kids. So whales experience is magical, is crazy, and there's few places in the world where you can do that. Sea lions experience is also magical because seals, they will be just so friendly, they will be playful. So I love this interaction as well.
And your favorite part in the world to do that? I know there's a thousand, but if you were to say your favorite part?
Mexico, like seals. I had one of the best experiences playing with seals in Mexico, in close to La Paz.
Nice. All right, switching back to freediving for a moment. If you could map out the future for freediving, have you got a vision for freediving that you would like to chaperone to one day? Like, would you like to see freediving in the Olympics? Is that a possibility?
It is a possibility for sure. A few steps has to be done before that to improve the level of the competition where it's now. There should be more spectators, more languages that people can watch these competitions at. Like currently it's just English commentating, but it should be like multiple languages.
Yeah.
Just making it more accessible to audience and to spectators. I think that's something I think to be addressed, and it happens in its own pace. I think a few years, 5 years from now, the competitions will be in another level, and there's a real chance to go into Olympics.
Well, is there two documentaries on Netflix? I know I've watched, is it The Last Breath I watched, and then there's The Deepest Breath on Netflix at the moment. So it seems to be gaining popularity.
Yeah, there's few already, like few documentaries currently, and another one is in production. Like this year will be another one based on my last competition season.
Yeah.
So sometime in the summer we'll see like another one, and I think a lot of productions start to be interested in showing this like sport and what's going on there. And there's a exciting competitive part of the sport, but also there is exciting mental health side of the sport, like how to just train yourself to be calmer.
Yeah, that just sounds amazing. Do you have a mentor, Alexey? Like who do you look up to learn from?
I have mentors in different areas, like in business. I have some entrepreneurs who like I consider my mentors, and I think that will be the closest to mentor, like the entrepreneurial side of my activity. In sports, my mom was always my mentor, and then I learned a lot from her. And then currently, I think I just look around, and I'm always open to new ideas, and I'm always learning. But I don't really have a mentor in the sports area. I'm mentoring other athletes right now, and I do it myself.
So is it okay to talk about your mum? I'm really sorry what happened to your mum, but can you tell us about your mum?
I can. Yeah, my mom, like we had an amazing experience competing together, traveling together for like 10 years. She started freediving in 2003, and the accident happened in 2015, which was outside of the training or sports. It was like some diving when I was in another country. And there was like very unfortunate accident, which because it's nature, it happens in like environments, right? In the mountains, in the oceans. And yeah, I think I'm just very lucky to have such mom who she trained me from the very early years in swimming and freediving, and then because she created the foundation of education system for Molchanovs. And currently, I think like just a lot of people around the world have access to her methods of training and philosophy of freediving. And now, like we have it in our manuals in our education system. So I think she did a lot to help to grow the sport in the world.
Didn't she break 41 world records? Is that right?
40 plus, yeah. I think 43 world records.
You got a bit of work to do, Junior. You got to catch up to mum.
I know. That's why I always was like very humble. Like even with the first world record, like 10 world records, I never be. I think I was lucky to have someone always to be like on top of me, so I can just like, okay, I did my first world record. I have to keep going. I'm still like learning, and even after the first world record, I didn't relax and sort of like become proud of myself, etc.
Does freediving, yeah, it sounds weird, that almost that ethereal, but does freediving bring you closer to your mum now, or doesn't really come up to you like that?
I don't know, I think like you could say that because she disappeared in the ocean, and of course I have all these years of her teaching me, and all these like pieces of wisdom she shared with me, and I just have her example of the way how she was diving with pleasure, with this focus of self-exploration, and like by continuing doing that, it is the way to be closer to her. I would, yeah, I could say that.
And then you as the athlete, sometimes you meet athletes, and some of them, I guess are driven by joy. This is what I love to do, and I'm going to keep challenging myself to get better. And then sometimes people are driven by almost, almost like, you know, that David Goggins, who's going to carry the boat? Yeah, you know,
Yeah,
just that extreme personality. Where would you say you are on that spectrum? Seems like you love it.
I
It's a challenge. Like, I'm just
I
curious.
yeah, I love it. It's hard. So
Yeah.
you have to like to be able to uh, still when you feel discomfort and desire to breathe to be flexible, very creative and flexible with your thoughts to move to the different space, like mental space, where even if it's uncomfortable, you still love it, right? So it's an art in freediving. It's an art to enjoy their present moment, and even if it's hard and it's challenging, still like find this perspective which allows you to enjoy it. So I wouldn't say it's just always so easy and enjoyable. It's only when you have fun and just dive for fun and dive with animals. It's pure joy. There's a
Yeah.
lots of moment when it's pure joy. But if you want to push the limits, then like I have to be in the state of mind where I feel that it's hard and I find the way and the angle, like perspective where I uh, enjoy it, but it's a different type of joy. It's a type of joy where I know I grow, I become better.